Hi, welcome to tutorial number 47 for CSCI 130 Introduction to Programming here at the University of Wisconsin Parkside. In this tutorial, we're going to be now working with two-dimensional arrays and we're going to introduce radio buttons. Um, if you remember from our previous tutorials, we have been working with one-dimensional array. The way that one-dimensional array, the way that we were using one-dimensional array is like, okay, we have a variable that is going to be capable of storing multiple values, but one-dimensional is, okay, we have them in a list. So, and the way that we were um, making a difference among all the elements of the array was with an index. So, like, okay, we got an array for students, and then student 0 is the first element of the variable student 1, 1 is the index for the next student, and so on. Now, what is the difference now with two-dimensional arrays? Well, now instead of using one index, we're going to use two indices to determine a particular element. So again, how is that is going to be useful for us? So this is another tool that we can use in programming. Again, let's make the difference. One-dimensional array, we only going to have one index, and then we start with 0, 1, 2, and so on. And now we got two indexes. So we got multiple elements in the same variable, but then we got two indexes. So this is going to be great to make the representation, for example, of a table. So let's suppose I want to store all the elements of this table in one variable. So in this case, this table contains 12 elements. So we can say we need an array that is 3 by 4. So it's 3 rows and 4 columns. So how is that I'm going to make the distinction of, for example, the first cell in the array? Well, I need two indexes. One index is for the row and the second index is for the column. So again, this is the way that maybe we see the representation of the array. Then, for example, let's suppose that I'm going to store the grades for my students. So I have three students. So this is student 0, 1, and 2. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 grades. So let's suppose that I have the exam 1, exam 2, exam 3, and exam 4. And these are all 4 grades associated with one student. But at the same time, I have all my grades in just one single variable. So why is this useful again? Because otherwise I'm going to have to be working with 12 different variables, and that's going to be very complicated. So it's easier if we just have one variable, grades. And that grades contains the information for all the students, and all the numbers are there. So how are we going to make the definition, or how are we going to declare them? Well, like all variables, we're going to use dim, and then the name of the variable numbers as integer. So if I only do this, what I'm highlighting, then you know that this is like defining a simple variable that has only one cell. So those are the variables that we were using before arrays. Now, when we got the open parentheses without the comma, then this is a one-dimensional array. Now, if I put the comma there, I said, oh, this is a two-dimensional array. So it's going to have a size for the number of rows, and then another size here for the number of columns. Then when we initialize them, like in this case, we say equal new integer. So this is the initialization. And then this is says, okay, so I'm going to have two rows because indexes are going to go from 0 to 1, that means 0 and 1. And I'm going to have two columns. And right now my array is empty. How is that I assign later in the program? So here, for example, on the position 0, 0 is 1, position 0, 1 is 2. Again, how to identify the position? So let's go back over here. So 0, the first 0 is for the row, and the second 0 is for the column. So we say 1, comma 2, that means row 1, column 2, this is the element. So it's that simple. This is other examples of how we could initialize the variables. So here this is numbers, and then this is being initialized. On the previous example here we got 1, 2, 3, and 4 being assigned to my array. So here, this is like my first row, and this is my second row. And this is one possible way of assigning. Um, so we are going to work in the next tutorial with the example that they have in this chapter 18 to store multiple information about the grades for some students. Now in that exercise, we're also going to introduce uh, another control for Visual Basic, that is the ready button. And I don't know if they have a picture over here. They don't have the picture there. So it's basically gonna be, like they say here, a white circle that we're gonna either check or uncheck. And that's what we're gonna check. So if the ready button is checked, maybe we want to execute some type of option. So this will be, when this is check, the check property of the object is going to be set to true. When it's not checked, it's going to be set to false, and then this probably going to help us to make some decisions. Okay, so um, I will stop the tutorial right here. So again, the main idea about a two-dimensional array is that, okay, we're gonna define basically several elements that are arranged like a table. So in the next tutorial, we will actually practice the exercise that we're gonna need for posting.